Let's turn those gorgeous book pages and dyed papers into stunning coin envelopes. You won't believe how simple and fast they are to make. I'll walk you through a variety of styles and closures and show you how easy it is to customize them. Whether you keep them simple or go all out, the creative possibilities are endless. Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So let's start off by making some super cute and easy envelopes out of some floral images. Maybe you have some books that have fairly large images that are maybe too large to use as focal points for ephemera. And then you're wondering what to do with these absolutely gorgeous images. Well, the perfect solution is coin envelope. So let's just choose one here. Why not take this white one? I'm doing a horrible job getting this out of the book. Yeah, that's better. I do want a straight edge because look how badly I tore this. So let's just make that into a straight edge. And it doesn't matter what the size of your page is. That is the beauty of these envelopes. I have to thank one of my subscribers, dear Sylvia, who sent me an email with beautiful floral photos asking me what she could do with those. And instantly I thought of these coin envelopes and I realized how much I missed making these. So thank you so much, Sylvia, and greetings to you. I hope you're having fun with your book pages. In this case, I mean, we could even make a very slender, tall one, but with this image, it doesn't really matter which direction we're going to go in. So I'd rather make it this way. And the great thing about this is we really don't need a template or a fancy tool like a scoring board or anything. Yes, you can use a scoring board, but you don't have to. We can do it just like this. I will use a bone folder just to make the creases nice and crisp, but you can also use scissor handles or a ruler or a pencil or anything else you have on hand. And then, as you saw, I just folded in one part here, and now I'm going to fold the other part over. Depending on how wide I want my coin envelope to be, I could either make it as narrow as this or as wide as this, just so that I have enough overlap to glue the pieces together. So in this case, I'd rather have it a bit wider. Just going to make sure that my fold is fairly straight. Fold that down. Then this is the bottom here, so we're just going to fold that up enough so that again we have a flap to glue down. This is very thick at the moment, so we will be thinning that down in a moment. And for the top flap, I like to make that a little bit wider than my bottom flap here. Okay, so we have our basic shape. This is going to be the front. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now we're going to open up the folds again and take scissors. And now we're just going to get rid of any excess paper that just makes it more bulky than it needs to be. So we want to keep this middle flap. So these are the two sides that we folded in. So we're going to cut away this flap and this flap. And I'm just going to angle the middle flap here a little bit. So I'm just cutting a diagonal like that, right up to where my folds are. And then I can just cut away where the crease is on my two outer folds, just like that. So that we only have this middle part left. Basically, we do the same thing for the top, and we can decide, do we want the top flap to have that same shape, or do we want the corners rounded? There's several options here. For this one, we'll just keep the same shape as the bottom flap. So again, we're cutting diagonals. I'm not measuring. This is handmade. It's not supposed to be perfect. And then again, I'll just cut along the creases here on my outside flaps. So this is our shape now. And basically we would just have to glue this together and this folds down. If you wanted to, you could decorate this inside flap if you didn't want it white, which is what I would usually do. So either add some stamps or some stenciling or some splatters, or even just gluing some paper scraps on top. But in this case, actually, since the flower is white, I think it goes quite well. So I'm not even going to bother with that. And then you just use your favorite glue. I'm just going to use a glue stick, which is very rare for me. So first we glue down this middle flap and then we just glue up the bottom flap. You could of course ink up your edges. I don't think for an image like that is necessary. I do like adding some sort of a closure to the flap because I don't like that it's always open like this. So there's many different options. One of them would be to add a button. I specifically am choosing one of these flat buttons because I would like these envelopes to go into junk journals, so I don't want anything too bulky. But if you're not going to do that, then you don't have to worry about the bulk. And because this is just paper, even though it is fairly sturdy paper, I don't just want to sew through the flap because I don't want it to tear. So I'm going to add a piece of fabric on the back here. And why not add something a little bit decorative? So this is from a Tim Holtz fabric. It's called Butterflies and Moths, surprisingly. I'm just gonna cut out this cute little moth here because I think the size is perfect. So that can go in the middle here. And again, I'm just going to adhere it with some glue stick. We're sewing it on anyway. It's basically just to hold it in place like that. So then we place the button and we mark where the holes should be. And I use my awl to punch through the paper and the fabric. And take some twine, which should be long enough so that we can wrap it around the envelope a couple of times. So I take my needle and go into one of the holes from the top, come back on top through the other hole, go through my buttonhole and go through the other hole. And I'll just do that twice because this twine is fairly thick, otherwise maybe I would go through it 3 times. So then I'll go back in the second hole, but not through the flap, just to the underside of the button. And then just tie off that loose end from the beginning. Just make a double knot and cut off the short end. So now we can just wrap our twine around the envelope. And by the way, if you're wondering about the origin of coin envelopes, so it has its origins in the late 19th to early 20th century. So these envelopes were developed to securely store and transport coins and small parts and other compact valuables, especially in banking, postal, and industrial contexts. So you could just leave it like this. Now it stays closed. Or we could, of course, add some more decorating. For example, we could add some fun stamps. I'm going to use some of these numbers by Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz. The set is called Paint by Numbers CMS 483. So why not stamp 25 for 2025? There we go. Maybe let's add another number back here. 6 for June. So that's coin envelope number 1. That took like, I think, less than 5 minutes to make. Let's do another floral one. I have not used this book enough. Maybe I should show you this more closely in case you're interested in this. It's German, but I would assume they have this in English as well. So it's about peonies, which is my favorite flower. Let me see if there is an ISBN number for you. So in case you want to take a screenshot, there's the ISBN number. This one might actually be fun, but let's see. Gorgeous. Wow. These are so pretty. I'm so in love with these. That's also really cute with the yellow. Let's go with this one here. So I'll stick with this same format, but we'll have some small variations. So we're folding one edge in and the other one leaving a flap to still glue them together. Then we fold the bottom up. Top down a little wider than the bottom. Open the whole thing up. Cut away the outer flaps. And this time for the top flap, I'll do it a little bit differently. So I'm just cutting exactly where the crease is this time, not slanting it. And also for the flaps here, I'm not cutting exactly on the crease. I'll cut a little bit below and a little bit slanted. You'll see in a moment what the advantage of that is. So on this side, I'm cutting exactly on the crease. So this is our shape. And this time you see when we fold it in, there's a little bit of a gap here, which makes it a little bit easier to put something in or take something out. And for the top flap here, I'm going to fold the corners onto each other without folding actually here, just holding the corners on top of each other. And then we'll just take our scissors and cut like a rounded shape. And that way both sides will be even. Like that. Beautiful. And this time, instead of a button closure, we'll make like a classic closure with 2 circles and the string going around these 2. And I will use these cutoffs from the flaps as my top circle. These are not sturdy enough. I like to have really nice and sturdy round pieces. I'm going to use my little circle punch for that. If you don't have a circle punch, use something like a glue stick as a template and then just draw around that. So I'll cut out 2 of these. Maybe I want them both similar. And as a sturdy base, I'm just going to use this Dubai chocolate packaging where I used the front side in last week's video to create a fun belly band. If you missed that, I want to see how I made that, then you can check out the link for the video below. So again, I'll just cut out 2 circles. If you don't have any thicker cardstock, obviously you can just cut out multiple circles and glue them on top of each other. So then I'll just glue the circles on top of each other. Also, fabric is really cute. Instead of like the top layer that I have here, just take a piece of fabric and hand cut it with fabric scissors. That is adorable. And by the way, speaking of fabric, in case you want to see how I made this coin envelope with fabric, then you can find that tutorial linked below as well. And that has a secret letter hidden inside. I am going to ink up the edges of these circles with ground espresso distress oxide. I do think it looks nicer when those edges are not white and they're just defined a little bit more. So again, let's just glue the flaps down. And then we can attach our circles. So I'll just punch through a hole, eyeballing where the center is. And then we need a brad. And then we need a second one. So let's just imagine a line going straight down, approximately here. And I'll just use my awl for that because my crocodile, oops, won't reach. Try not to poke my finger. Maybe we take a different twine for this one. So I have this pink multicolored embroidery floss. So we'll just make a double knot around the top circle. Cut off the short end. And then we just wrap it around in an H shape. And the advantage of this closure is that the front doesn't have any twine on it like this one has. And as decoration for this one, how about we use another one of these butterflies? I think this one has a really good size. So I just stitched around it once with a brown thread. And now I'm just taking some PVA glue, or I just added a little bit of water and glue that down. Alternatively, you could take an image from a magazine or from a book, or maybe you have a die cut or a digital kit. So many different options to embellish this a little bit further. And for the back here, why not add a sentiment? I'm choosing one from this set by Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz called Noteworthy CMS 446. And it's going to be the one that says collect beautiful moments. Perfect for an envelope. And I'll use Distress Oxide Picked Raspberry. Next, let's try something a little bit more grungy. I have this piece of watercolor paper where I tried some eco-dyeing experiments quite a while ago. This is one of the ones that didn't turn out so well. You can just faintly see some of the flowers I had here. This one has quite a bit of holes here, but I think I could use this side. So I'll cut that in half. So let's follow the same procedure. So this one will be a bit wider. These flaps, of course, are a lot bulkier because the paper is much thicker. But basically, you know, you can use anything as long as you can fold it without it tearing. Because, you know, sometimes when you have these vintage papers, like book pages are great to make these kind of envelopes. You just have to be sure that they don't break when you fold them. Same procedure as always. Again, I'll cut this a little bit slanted like we did with the last one. So again, we'll just glue these together. This time for the closure, we'll try something else. So again, I want to use one of these butterflies because now I want to make these into a series because they all have butterflies. Actually, now this will be a moth. At this time, I'm going to cut out the moth. Or actually, wait, first, let's do something else. So I have a piece of cardstock here. And we're going to glue the fabric onto this cardstock. So I quickly dried that with my heat tool so that I don't mess up my scissors. And now I'm going to cut around this moth. Again, alternatively, maybe you have a die cut or another image that you can just do this with. Glue your image onto a cardstock and then cut it out. And again, I'm going to ink around this. So I want the edge defined a little more. And this time we will just, that's not stiff enough yet. I want to glue that here so that the flap tucks into it, but you see, it's still not stiff enough. So we need to glue some more cardboard underneath. Once more, Dubai chocolate packaging for the rescue. That is much better. This is of course pretty stiff. If you do this with thinner paper, you won't have these struggles. So now we need a good glue to hold this down. I'm taking this Beacon 3-in-1 glue. You take whatever strongest glue you have. I would not use glue stick for this, and obviously we're not gluing the whole thing down because we want to be able to tuck our flap into it. So I just put glue on the bottom half of my moth. So for this one, I want to add a label on the front here. I'm going to use one of these Thinlits by Sizzix and Tim Holtz. These are called vintage labels with the number 665929. If you don't have anything like this, maybe you have a label stamp, or you just cut your own. They are quite simple to cut. I'm going to use this one here. So that's this one. And the cool thing with these is that you can color the edges. And what you do first is you clean your frame with alcohol. I don't have any pure alcohol, so I'm just taking some nail polish remover. It works just fine. Just go over the frame with that. And then I'll take my black archival ink. And it's going to look like not a lot is on your frame, but there's more on there than you think. And this will give you a beautiful grungy effect because we won't have an even coverage. And I'm going to use this paper, which is from the second half of the paper that I used for the envelope. So I'll take this, put it on my paper, and then run it through my die cut machine. So let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah, baby. How gorgeous is that? And I love that it's uneven here. So we have like this grungy texture that is perfect. Let's see what it looks like on our envelope. Oh yeah, that is just gorgeous. I also want to try it with this coffee archival ink, which I always kind of forget that I have. So again, I'll just go over it with my nail polish remover. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so let's see. Ooh, Oh my goodness. I don't know which one I like more. Gorgeous. Let's see which one is better here. No, I think I like the black one better. Yeah. And then we could add another sentiment inside the label here from this collection, Stampers Anonymous Tim Holtz, Tiny Text, CMS 394. And it also has the same one that we stamped here, Collect Beautiful Moments, but in this smaller script. And this, yeah, this fits exactly into our frame. So I'll use black. And I will clean off those edges because I really don't like that when the edges of the stamp are grunged up like this. I mean, usually I love grunge, but not like this. Okay, let's try not to mess this up. Yes. And since I want this to stand out a little bit more, I will ink up the edges. Yeah, I think that makes a huge difference. See that? And then I want to add another butterfly here, a bigger one, maybe partially underneath. I'm thinking of these dies, again, Tim Holtz and Sizzix. Thinlits with the name Scribbly Butterflies 664409. And I'm going to use this one here, which is this one. I do not use these often because I don't have a lot of luck cutting these out. A lot of times I have a lot of difficulties for all of these to cut through the paper, but we'll try our luck again. So I have this gray cardstock, but I want to add a little bit of drama to that. A little bit of shine with these Distress Mica stains. One is Frozen Fog and the other is Iron Gate. Alternatively, you could use some metallic watercolors or acrylic paints. So I'll start with the Iron Gate and then add some Frozen Fog. And we'll dry that. So we have this here. Let's try our luck one more time with this die. So I went back and forth 4 times. It looks like it actually cut through everywhere. Let's see. Very skeptic with this. Oh, okay. Actually, this time it worked for some reason. Don't ask me why. I mean, I know it also depends a lot on the cardstock you use. Okay, that's a pleasant surprise. Okay, she is beautiful. So let's glue her down partially underneath our label. I just used my art glitter glue for that. And this one definitely needs some gold splatters. So there's what that looks like. And I also decided to add some splatters on the back. And as a final touch, I'm going to add another sentiment down here from the Tiny Text CMS 394 collection, which says, "Imperfections make life interesting." And I forgot to wipe off the edges. Oh well, it's okay for this. I think that just had to happen with this sentiment, didn't it? So there we have it. 3 fun coin envelopes in a very short time. Possibilities are absolutely endless. Go play and have fun. Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!